The DCEU moving forward. Flash. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks. And I am your humble host, Nove, 718. And we just gonna get into it. We're during a certain period of time. And I hope you guys are actually hanging in there for the most part. Just big rest in peace to all the casualties out there worldwide, of course, but during this time. And I'll probably do a little town hall joint this weekend where we just talk about the concept of what we're trying to do here and online. But I'll give you a brief preface it. Look, it is what it is right now, and since we're all at home, let's make the most out of it. If you're a YouTuber, try to put out as much good content as you can. If you can talk on things that's going on right now, that'd be cool too. But just make yourself some sort of useful. You know what I'm saying? And if you guys really got things that you need to catch up on, like if you got your business entrepreneurs or there's things that you want to set up down the line, use this downtime to start carving out your life and figuring out what you want to get done, because life is very, very, very precious. And as it pertains to the YouTube space, I want to make sure that we just have a space where we could step away from all the other stuff and still feel like we're part of the world that we just left behind, which seems not that long ago. And even for a lot of people, don't feel like anything's really changed much. I mean, all things considering, of course, but you know, the seriousness hasn't really kicked in for a lot of people. That being said, though, there's a little bit of people trying to, I guess, scare you into buying too much toilet paper, whatever the hell. Neither here nor there, we're here now. And I just want you guys to we like to think the world's going to get back to where we once left it and try its best to get back there, because that's the aim. So let's just use this time to talk about the movies, you know, the things that we love to watch. Watch more films. Let's get into more reviews. Let's try to keep our minds focused, at least when we get here, on something positive, something that we enjoy, because it's a growing space. A lot of people that enjoy watching films and movies, and for a lot of various reasonings, you know, because it all kind of like pretty much sings to the tune of a lot of people's hearts. You know what I mean? Some people are into concept design, some people are into world building, some people are into stories. So since we're hearing that we're at this time where, you know, we got to sit down and, you know, let's have some fun with our family. Let's listen to some of these YouTubers' topics, and let's really start just like having conversations and thinking and figuring things out together as a family, because no matter what, we're all going to have to deal with this together in one way or another, whatever happens. That said, let's focus on the positive, man. Let's talk about the DCEU moving forward, and we're focusing on Flash. Ezra Miller's long-awaited, forever been waiting, the Flash film, and it seems like they want to jump off quick with Crisis. Actually, Flashpoint, and I think that's a quick jump. I don't mind us jumping into the large stories fast if the DCEU held on tight to it. Unfortunately, failures has made them make some drastic decisions. Make no mistake, I understand that it was hard for them to not make a heel-toe pivot. I also argue that after BVS and and the big response, the heel toe response. And even though there was a tragedy, of course, that led to Zack Snyder leaving the film, the butchering of his concept to force in, which I don't really blame Josh Whedon, and we'll do one about for just Josh Whedon, because I think he got a bad rap to a degree, because I also think there's some ego drivenness in there, but that's neither here nor there. He tried to give you the levity that you all wanted. Why do you think they went and got Josh Whedon? Because he did the Avengers film, and the Avengers film guy couldn't deliver something that you guys would have wanted. With respect, even though he shot a whole lot of the film over again from what is understood, he still had to make it fit with the pre-existing shots that Zack Snyder did. So it still was hounded by the ideas of two couldn't be even more dissimilar directors. That said, The Flash has been in limbo while the DCEU try to figure out what they can, if they can do anything with it. They invested a lot of money into Zack Snyder's vision, and though I enjoyed it, and mind you, people keep forgetting that he did get a lot of notes, because after Man of Steel BVS, there was a lot more, actually definitely in Justice League, but I think when it came to BVS, there was certain things that they were requesting of him, because remember, they had to downsize even his vision for it, at some point. And to be honest, if you ever really follow a lot of the story with Zack Snyder via the interviews, he'll tell you that BVS wasn't exactly his idea then post Man of Steel. It wasn't his initial idea of where to go with the story. He was going in that direction, but he really wanted to tell more of Superman's story before we got to that. But he happened to mention that he wanted to introduce it at the end of the Man of Steel 2, and Man of Steel 2 somehow turned into BVS, and which was supposed to launch the universe, which was supposed to compete against the MCU. And unfortunately, with the MCU having a lighter tone, the expectation for DC was to be comparable to how MCU did it. All the while, they needed to catch up to the MCU. So when they sped up the timeline and said, you know, we're not going to deal with a young Batman, we're going to go with an older one. He has so much story already explained, so when we do his solo movie, we can actually go into the villains without having to be hampered down with their origin, if you will. This is the world, and accept it, and let's get into it. And he really wanted people to see the real world acceptance, and how in the real world we would accept larger than life characters that were godlike, lowercase g, godlike. And I think he actually executed that well. Maybe in BVS, and it had to be a little bit chunky because they wanted him to do too much in just one movie. So this was the best way he could do it while telling the larger stories that we didn't want to slow troll our way up to get to see. But at the same time, because we're watching the MCU, we're expecting, hey, we want a slow stroll, but you guys need to hurry up and have the Justice League film. And it's like, I mean, what do you want? Do you want the slow burn, or do you want to get there? Now let's intro The Flash. I told you guys before, I don't think The Flash was supposed to operate the way he does. I don't think his mentality was supposed to be that way. I think they did all of that to somehow make him be more comparable to Spider-Man. And you can tell it in Justice League. They wanted to give a Flash and Batman that kind of relationship, which, I'll be honest with you, it could have worked, but at the same time, I didn't care for it. It just, and I will say this, for better for worse, the fact that we jumped into it, he didn't have enough time to make you really get emotionally captured by the characters. But that's Justice League, which we can't get for Zack Snyder is specifically on. But definitely in BVS, the intro to those characters wasn't bad to me at all. And I'll get into all of that another thing about the logos people complain about, the explanations for that. Except for, I think, like maybe one. But like I said, we'll get into that in another video. But now, Flash, Ezra Miller, I won't say now, he actually wanted a darker take on the character, which goes back to my initial belief that he got into Zack Snyder's film because he thought he was going to play a more serious, darker version of this character. So the fact that he was so light-toned was a little bit off-putting, and almost like he was like this klutzist kind of person. Like, it just, I don't know, I knew what they were trying to do, but it just wasn't working for me. You were trying to make him the lovable dork, like Tom Holland's versus a Spider-Man, and it just, to me, came off more like a knockoff with a character that seems to have almost like an identity crisis, if you will. That being said, where would you go forward with this story, especially if you guys are not exactly sure if you want to keep this all in sync? And you got to also remember, a Flash movie will have to start in the now unless you're doing a prequel. And again, it's you trying not to move forward past the Justice League, because I'm not even sure if they want to accept Justice League as canon. And I feel like they're still negotiating where they want to do with the DCEU at large. They got the Batman, and they're working on to that, but they got to figure that out, because you got Aquaman, and then you also got what is it, Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman is still, her second movie is in 84. So are you going to finally catch up, and what timeline will they all meet? Is Robert Pattinson replacing Ben Affleck? And I don't really think he is, but I still think they're still all negotiating it, because I don't think they're actually sure of where they want to go. I just firmly believe that they better take a position, carve it out, and stick to it, or fold the whole thing over. And I'm a person that thinks that this franchise still can't be salvaged as it is, but you would still need all the moving parts again. Even Zack Snyder. Not because I just like him. It's more because he knew where he wanted to take it. So even if you wanted to pass the reins off to someone else, you have to do a proper succession, so at least it could look seamless. Maybe we need better writers. You know what I mean? Or one overarching writer that can go through everything and edit everything into even manner. Say, I like all your stories, but I gotta thin this out, so we could focus on this, and this in the film. And then pass it over to your Zack Snyders, who can visually throw all of that on the screen and flesh it all out. That doesn't mean that they can't come up with the stories. But you come up with the story, you write it out, and have another person go over and be like, alright, where did we go wrong? We try to keep things a little overstuffed. So let's take some of the stuff that's overstuffed to keep it even, and have Zack Snyder focus on not just the visuals, also like maybe we have the writers go back into the dialogue to flesh it out and give more. Let's not go lost. Let's dig into that space a little bit longer, so we can at least pull as much character out of each character, if that makes sense, but pull out their personalities, flesh them out a little bit more in the dialogue, so at least we can figure out where their arcs will meet. So at least now we can follow this journey. We could see that all these characters are on a journey onto themselves that has high stakes, like which the DCEU should be known for, and serious consequences. But right now, as it stands, we're not really sure where we're gonna go with the Flash film. Should we do Flashpoint? Should we rebuff the whole series through a Flashpoint film? And then when he resets everything, then we could show new Batman and be like, that's kind of the excuse, things slightly changed. Those are ways to kind of clean up continuity. Kind of the way that storyline was created, to clean that up in the comics. But the Flash, we still not sure what they want to even do with it. Are we going to tell his origin? Or is this going to happen after Justice League? And then if this happens after Justice League, how do you account for where Superman is? The almighty Superman. How can Flash have a legit fight, big fight, and Superman never not show up? This is the type of, issues DC was always going to have to deal with no matter what. That's why when he tried to give you a realistic Superman, it was to make things realistic, because if we're going to have a DCEU with this character that could damn near do anything, then anything that happens in any individual movie, as long as it doesn't happen underwater, Superman should already be on it. So it'll be hard to have a solo film with anybody, as soon as the climactic battle happens at the end, Superman would more than likely show up to assist. Because he is like the fastest. He could be there in an instant. He could it makes it hard for you to create separate stories if they're all gonna happen on Earth. Now, unless Themyscira, the next battle happens on Themyscira, where Superman would not be obliged to intervene. Aquaman, it can happen back underneath the water again. Superman is not obliged to be there, because those are areas he don't readily be at, and all he has access to at that kind of level. Then Flash is on Earth. Batman, I mean, he handles more street level thugs, so I could see how Superman would just leave Gotham alone. Gotham belongs to Batman, but it's still, you're always, anytime something gets real big or cosmic, you always be like, where is Superman? Like, that means any Shazam film, where's Superman? Black Adam, where's Superman? That's the first thing you're gonna wonder. And that was always going to be an uphill battle, even for the Flash. So this Flash storyline that he wanted to make a lot darker and I guess more intense, I don't know if they'll do it. I highly doubt it, because it looks like they want to go the light-hearted route more so. But then again, we still don't know. I think it's fair to say, because he shows up in the Arrowverse on the Crisis episode or whatever, and he shows up alongside Grant Gustin. That was a good nod. That's not a guarantee that we're still going to see him. But I think that was a way to let people feel like, nah, if he's still around, we're still working on this. But that doesn't give it a guarantee. Because you can easily say, well, that was in a whole other universe, Zack Snyder's universe. So again, where do we go here with Flash? I mean, I I think you would have to do a Flashpoint paradox. Otherwise, what big villain he could fight that Superman won't show up if we don't address what we're gonna do with Superman. And I also think that when it comes to Flash, one, we need a director that'll stay on long enough to actually make us feel like it's actually gonna happen. And two, I think they need to make sure that they know who he is as a character and what should his arc be as a character. But until then, we'll have this version of Flash, like it or not, love it or not. There are no realistically new updates. We're just pontificating it for the time being, just trying to figure out whether or not where we would go from here with Flash. And again, I'm not a big fan of this variation of him. I'm really not. I don't like his personality. He seems like he's trying too hard to be quirky and awkward. I don't like that. I'd rather a chill, a cool looking one. That's how he looked like when he was on the surveillance camera. A cocky, cool speedster kid. Like, yeah, not this I'm a nerd and I'm socially disordered. Like I kind of I'm autistic because it just, nah, I'm not with it. Nah, let's make him different. Like, will he be tripping over brunch? Like, it was just a little weak, you know. But I see everybody keep talking Flashpoint. I don't think we need that, but at the same time, I'm not turning it down if we can. I just don't know if you're going to go that route. You know, because if you do, I think Flashpoint Paradox is worthy of 2 films, 2 parts at least. If you do it right, you can get it in 1 film, but then you're going to have to make it a nice, healthy size film. You got to consider making it a healthy size film. And then it'll be kind of a mini Justice League movie, almost be like an Elseworlds movie, if you will. But it'll just make the world go back and forth, when we haven't really even finished dealing with the first time where his future self came back already. I think what they could have did was they could have tried to figure that out in a Flash movie. What that Flash was trying to do, or you know what? And it's really hard to say. I feel like you need a follow-up to the Justice League. And if the follow-up would be a Flash, then it can't be a Flashpoint. We really need to figure out what happened, even if it's mostly Flash, but he speaks of Curry with Arthur Curry, like the last time he spoke to him. Yeah, like he's left. He explains that Wonder Woman went back to Themyscira or something like that. Something that makes you understand where they're at, that he can have his own story coming this way and not ask for the assistance of others. Since if you watch the film, he kind of pushes people and run away. He's really like a quirky, klutzy kid that runs really fast. Which makes him, I don't want him to be this accidental hero. I actually wanted a hero. That's why I kind of, like I said, I'm not a big fan of this version. And sometimes I wonder, is Zack Snyder really even intended in Justice League for him to be this much that way? Even though I think that he changed his personality to a degree because of how people accepted BVS. But that's all I got for it, because they don't really give us too much about it. You know, one thing I will say is we will see the Reverse Flash will somehow be a part of his story. That much I do know. The problem is now when you take Flash, then you have to also deal with the concept of Cyborg. And Cyborg is a way expensive character that he can never have his own film. So you'd have to explain where the hell he's been. Now you could argue he's somewhere in Star Labs with his pops off the grid. But still, it just leaves so much to be desired. To drop a Flash film will make you wonder what happened to everyone around them. And it's cool if you're gonna go in separate directions and that's the way you're gonna do it. But you're going to have to let that be known and really set the tone of it. Because otherwise you're always going to have people with expectations because you've never as a company came out and say this is what we're doing. Just like they skipped certain sequels of Halloween and said this is the Halloween you're getting, they need to come out so they can at least let people know where you're going with it. So at least it doesn't seem wavery. Otherwise, you're going to have people judging your film all the time. And unfortunately, it's bringing WB in one of the big things that was a failure of Fox's X-Men, the continuity issues. They made great stories, but the continuity was all over the fucking place. And he had a very good opportunity to eliminate all of that shit with Days of Future Past, and they went right back into let's get back into the continuity eras. But this is where we are right now with the Flash. It's still supposedly being worked on. I believe it may have, hold on a second. It's funny how when you Google it, it comes up drama fantasy. I would love for it to be a fantasy drama, the Flash movie. But either way, it's still scheduled for 2022. And again, I would love for it to be a drama fantasy, like a serious film, like Zack Snyder intended the DCEU universe to be a more mature superhero universe. And until they have a tone that they're committed to, it's gonna put this weird void over the DCEU until we see all the films coming out and see how they lift the vote, like create the clarity. And until like Wonder Woman 84 comes out to create a little bit more clarity to see the direction that they intend on going, then the Black Adam, then we'll see. But I'm gonna leave it here for right now. Let me know, you guys, what do you think? Is the Flash movie something you're looking forward to? Do you think that the next Flash movie, the next one, the Flash movie, you should say, will be indicative of where the DCEU is moving forward? And do you guys believe that the reason why it has been pushed back so much is because they're still not sure what they want to do? And also, to be fair, AT&T is boredom, so they're going to have to figure out that structure as well. But let me know in the comments below, man. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro, chill. And please, be safe.